Okay, page 9. Page 9 in the copies, the middle of Eis Ches. I'm sorry, middle of Eis Hey. Okay, the Rebbe is explaining that through Mesiras Nefesh, the Rebbe asked this question: why by Matan Torah is only Hechelu Lasi? It only began when the Yidden were on a very lofty level by Matan Torah, and yet the Yidden were on a very low level, and yet the Kabbalah Torah completely was Dafke and put him not in Matan Torah. And he said that's because of Mesiras Nefesh. Because through the level of Kosis, you come to the level of Mo'or, which is the source of light, not only Erd, you come to the source of light. Then he asked a question about the sequence of the Maamar. And so the Rebbe says like this is the last thing what we're in the middle of now. This that Yidden are Mamin and B'nai Mamin could be one of two reasons. Either because the Neshama L'mayla sees Elokus, and because the Neshama, the Mazlai Chozi, the Mazel of the Neshama, which is the level of Chai, like we said, sees Elokus, and because the Neshama sees Elokus, that's why it trickles down that the Neshama in the body also believes in Elokus. He says that issue is, though it's only Makifim, because you see it in the level of Chaya, which is Makifim, it's not the essence, so therefore it's limited in how much Emunah there is based on how much Elokus you see. But the second level of why Yidna Maminim B'nai Maminim is because the essence of the Neshama is Chelek Elokam Mimal, is Elokus, and if it's Elokus, it is Elokus. And therefore every part of the Neshama, even the Neshama that's in the body, has the essential Emunah and Elokus. This is what we're up to now. Well, Pizayah Shavayed, middle of the page of 9, middle of Eis Hey. Now we can explain the sequence of the Maamar. The Rebbe asked the question before, why does the Friedrich Rebbe in the Maamar, in middle of speak about Raya Mehemna, he speaks about Kosses Lamoed. Like what's the connection? This that Moshe Rabbeinu of every generation feeds and is the shepherd of Emunah. Shetei B'Primius, that it's in Emunah should come into a Primius. How is it? Aidei Shemegalas Etzem HaNeshama. How does Moshe Rabbeinu internalize the Emunah of a Yid? Not by seeing Elokus, that level of Emunah, but on the contrary, the level of Emunah that permeates from the essence, Ma'or Shalamayla Me'er, the level of Ma'or, which is higher than Erd, and therefore it says in Kosis Lamor, in order to reveal the level of Ma'or, the essence of the Neshama, you need to have the level of Kosis, of oppression, and he explains in the Maamar Ma'or, in order to reach and reveal the essence of the Neshama. Why they are in the Kosis Shebizman HaGolus is to the level of Kosis in the time of Golus. Why? Why is the essence of the Neshama more revealed in the time of Golus? Because where do you reveal, where do you see the revelation of the essence of the Neshama? Is Be'inyan HaMesiras Nefesh, which is primarily in the time of Golus Kedul Kamen. And the Rebbe is going to explain later an interesting point of today's Golus. But the bottom line is, where is the essence of the Neshama revealed? Like we said, the Friedrich Rebbe used the expression, this is the way it's going to be, and there's not even a thought of anything else. That's primarily in the time of Golus. When the Jew is Kosis from Golus, and the variations of it, depression, complacency, whatever it may be. When a Jew is in Golus, and depressed from the mere factor in Golus, Mesiras Nefesh, that reveals the essence of the Neshama. And therefore the Rebbe explains that's why the connection between Raya Mehemna and Kosis is because this, that the Raya Mehemna, the Moshe Rabbeinu, like Mordechai in his generation, reveals the essence of the Neshama, that it's Emunah in a way that it permeates the very being, not in a way of Makif, in a Pneumistic way, that's primarily through the time of Kosis, which is the time of Golus.
And they were on the red was on the corridor, so on that time, not patient too much.
Yeah, you mean 1927?
Yes.
Yeah, when the Friedrich Rebbe, the previous Rebbe said this man was in 1927.
Rabbi, Kasis is the same thing as Mesiris Nefesh?
Yeah, Kasis brings out Mesiris Nefesh.
So Kasis brings out Mesiris Nefesh?
Which is revealed through the Mordechai, the generation, and that level reveals the essence of the Neshama. And therefore we said the Yidden stood Kol Hashana Kula. What's the emphasis that they stood Kol Hashana? And every Avodah, winter, summer, spring, fall, in the four Avodas Hashem of the year, they had Mesiris Nefesh completely, because when it comes from the essence, it's not sometimes yes, sometimes no. In this situation, yeah, in this situation, no. In Russia, yeah, in America, no. If it comes in the essence of the Neshama, there's no difference where it is. Based on this, we can explain. Kasher in your... No, I'm sorry. Vav, the Inyan is like this. This, that the Amun of the Yid comes in a way that he's even Meisa Nafesh, he has Mesiris Nefesh, who be Ikir Ba'amuno, Shemitzad Etzem and Neshama. And here the Rebbe is explaining like this. Mesiris Nefesh really comes from the Amunah of the essence versus the Amunah of a Mazlayo Chazi. Why? The Amunah Mitzad Shuraya Mazlayo Chazi, because the Amunah that comes, the first level of Amunah, that comes because the Neshama sees Elokus, Hagam she will take of Godel. Even though it's very powerful, Kedua, the Sam to Shemitzadariya, the emes that comes from seeing, his Amtis Gedela B'Yes is a very strong, powerful seeing. Mean like this. As an English expression, seeing is believing. Something that comes from seeing is very, very powerful. And therefore, the Rebbe quotes in the order at the bottom, therefore there's a din, Ein Eid Nasa Dayan. The din is a witness cannot become a judge. What does that mean? If Bezdin was walking in the street and they saw a murder, they could be Eidim, but they can't be a Dayan. They can't sit and say, okay, we saw the murder, the guy's gonna, capital punishment. Why not? Because the fact that they saw it doesn't allow them to be objective. The Torah says, "V'shaftu ha'eda v'yitzilo ha'eda." They have to be able to judge, and at the same time, they have to be able to save. Meaning, they have to be objective. So when you hear it from witnesses, hearing, so then you can hear it. You can hear differently. It doesn't make you say, "Okay, there's no question about it." When Bezdin sees, and this din is by capital punishment. Ein Eid Nasa Dayan is by din nefoshes, that if Bezdin sees, or a Dayan sees the murder, he cannot be a judge in the case, because then he won't be objective. He'll definitely be negeva dover, because seeing is believing. So he says, Mikama came now. So even though it's very strong, Mikama came kivesha monishalahi mitzat siba. It still comes because of a reason. Mitzat zesheraya, because he sees Elokus. It's something causing it to happen. He sees Elokus. Ve'nekshurim etzem mitziyusei. And it's not connected with his essence. It's something additional. He sees Elokus, and therefore it is what it is. Ein amuch, he's not forced necessarily. Sheyimse nafshal zed means Mesiris Nefesh. Why? Because Mesiris Nefesh means I give over my essence. If it's something external seeing it, it's not necessarily going to affect the essence.
Does Mesiris Nefesh reveal the essence?
Yeah.
Or the essence reveals Mesiris Nefesh?
No, Mesiris Nefesh reveals the essence. That's what he says. Through Kasis, come tomorrow. And he says, V'zeh shamunah the Yisrael, and this the damun of the Yidden, is be'efen shum meiser benafshi al zed, there's mamish willing to give up his nefesh. Like we said, azay in nitandish, this is the way it has to be, there's no difference. Is b'mnei shamunah belukus, that only comes from the level of amunah, which is our etzim shalei, because it's his essence. L'chein, I efshe klal sheyichbar chas v'shom. So the Rebbe is explaining like this. The amunah that comes from the ear, as strong as it is, it's still not you. It's what you see. The neshama sees Elokus, so therefore down in the neshama in the body also see as amunah. But that's not the pnimi, it's a superficial level, because it's not you. The level of amunah that a Jew has because of Etzem and Neshama, that the Moshe Rabbeinu causes Lamor, Moshe Rabbeinu Rai Mehemna reveals the causes and causes the Mor to happen, he says that is Amunah that comes from the essence, and that Amunah comes from the essence. It's impossible that you can deny it. That's what causes Mesiras Nefesh. So he says like this, based on this we can explain what the Rebbe says in the Maamar, this the Moshe Rabbeinu's Rai Mehemna. Shizon and Mefanis and Amunah that he feeds Amunah, he gam benegel Reisi Yisrael. It's the opposite way. Shebachol Dor. It's the Moshe Rabbeinu in every generation. Is Bashtusa the Moshe Shebachol Dor, which applies to Moshe Rabbeinu in every generation. Sheim Mechaz Kimis Amunah the Yisrael, that they strengthen the Amunah of the Yidden. Sheyamdu b'Mesiras Nefesh b'Kimatera Mitzvos. So therefore he says like this. This is the connection with Raya Mehemna feeds Amunah, that the Merei Yisrael in every generation, in fact the Rebbe is going to explain that by Mordechai, he said it before, in this Prat Mordechai revealed more essence than Moshe Rabbeinu did. Because Moshe Rabbeinu, they didn't need Mesiras Nefesh. Right? Moshe Rabbeinu at the time, there was no Mesiras Nefesh. In fact, Alter Rebbe asks a question in Tanya. Alter Rebbe says, why did Moshe Rabbeinu command the Yidden for Mesiras Nefesh? Okay, they didn't need Mesiras Nefesh. But anyway, so he says, this, that the tzaddik and the Rebbe in the generation reveals the level of Moshe Rebbe, of Mesiras Nefesh. Yeah? He says, L'cheira, he says like this, Zeh shemeshe zanim afanis zamunah, this, that Moshe Rabbeinu feeds Yidden with Amunah. Kamavur b'kamim kemis is explained in many places. The Gamba Maamar Za'atzmei in this Maamar also, how does Moshe Rabbeinu feed Amunah, that the Yidden internalize and digest it? Is Aidei Shemashpi Yisrael Das Belukus, by giving Das and Alukus, Shaidei Zebo Amunah B'Pnimius. In other words, like this, we're saying Moshe Rabbeinu feeds Amunah, yeah, that the Yidden internalize the Amunah. He says, how does he do that? How does Moshe Rabbeinu feed Amunah to the Yidden? So the Maamar, the Friedrich, is explained in many places, and the Rebbe says in the Friedrich Rebbe's Maamar also, is because Moshe Rabbeinu gives Yidden Das. Okay, what does it mean Moshe Rabbeinu gives Yidden Das? Das is feeling. Right? Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya, Chachma, Bina, and Das. Chachma is the initial spark. Bina is the broadening of the spark, right? Like father and mother. And Das, what's Das? He says, V'adam yadas chava, connection, binding. I can know something and not feel it. What's the level of Das? Das means I feel it. I become one with it.
How about the knowing?
You become one with the. You become one with the. Not only do you know it, but you feel it. You become mamish one with it. What is Moshe Rabbeinu's avodah? Moshe Rabbeinu says, "I'm mamshech das." Okay, let's elaborate on this a little bit. The pasuk says like this: "V'zarati is Beis Yisrael, zera adam zera behema." Pasuk says, Hashem says, "I plant to eat." Moshe, you putting the thing on? Moshe. Putting the... No. So he says, Hashem says, I plant Zera Adam and Zera Behema. So Chassidus explains, what does this pasuk mean? There are two types of neshamas. Zera Adam, seed of man, and Zera Behema. What's the difference between Adam and Behema? The Gemara says, Adam yesh das, Behema ain't no das. A person has das, a Behema has no das. Okay? As smart as an animal might be, he doesn't have das. It's a level of maturity that you actually feel what you understand. A person has das, and the Behema doesn't. So when the pasuk says that the neshamas that are called Zera Adam and Zera Behema, Zera Adam means the neshamas that actually feel a lukus. They have das, they feel a lukus. Zera Behema is those neshamas that don't feel a lukus. Okay? So what's the Aveda of Moshe Rabbeinu? Okay. So what does it mean? It means that, as the pasuk says in Shema, "V'nasati eisav b'sotcha levamtecha v'chalta savata." Moshe Rabbeinu says, because Chumash Dvarim Moshe Rabbeinu is speaking. Yeah, the whole Chumash Dvarim Moshe Rabbeinu is speaking. It's not Vayidaber Hashem al Moshe Leimer. Moshe Rabbeinu is speaking. So Moshe says, "V'nasati eisav b'sotcha levamtecha." I'm going to give grass in the field for your animals. So the question is, the Medrash says, Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't give. Hashem gives. Moshe Rabbeinu is saying, I give. What do you mean I give? So the answer is, Shechina medaberes mitach reina shel Moshe. When Moshe Rabbeinu spoke, the Shechina spoke through him. So Moshe Rabbeinu was like the microphone. Yeah? Hashem spoke, and Moshe Rabbeinu was the... So when Moshe Rabbeinu said, "V'nasati eisav," it's not him speaking, it's Hashem speaking. But Chassidus explains also, in addition to that, obviously, "V'nasati eisav b'sotcha levamtecha," Chassidus explains like this. Eisav, grass, is a level of das. Why? Because eisav is ayin shin beis, so it's ab, the name ab of Yud Kei Vav Kei, configurations. That's the level of das, and shin has 3 parts to, which is also the 3 levels of das. So lepel, eisav is grass, das. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, what's my role as Moshe Rabbeinu? V'nasati eisav b'sotcha livehemtecha, to those in the shamas that are called Zera Behema. Moshe Rabbeinu says, what is my role as Moshe Rabbeinu? I give the level of das, livehemtecha v'yachalta v'savata, and you eat it and become full, meaning you become full of das, you have feeling of alukus. So how does Moshe Rabbeinu strengthen the emunah that he has, to internalize the emunah? By being mamshir das. By Moshe Rabbeinu, through his avodah and teachings and the connection and everything, so Moshe Rabbeinu makes a Jew feel alukus.
But you can't do it just with Moshe. You need kassis also. You need both.
Yeah, but first Moshe Rabbeinu reveals das, and that internalizes the emunah. When is that level of actually feeling alukus more? At the time of Siddur Nefesh. And therefore, the Rebbe says in Tanya, even the Kal Shebekalim, the lowest of low, when push comes to shove, they're Moshe Nefesh. Well, how do they don't have it a whole year, all of a sudden they're Moshe Nefesh? The answer is, yeah, because that level of kosis brings out the das and the emunah in an open way. So he says like this, Moshe Rabbeinu reveals emunah, internalized rei and nemun. What does he do to do that? He's mamshir das. Okay, so he says like this. So how does he do it? Third line. Aydei shemashbil Yisrael das belukus, shaydei zeh bo amunah bepnimius. Bezeh sherei Yisrael shebechol dar. This, that the rei Yisrael in every generation. Bechaz kemeso amunah. Strengthen the amunah, which is spoken about in this Maamar, is how does he do it? Shamunah the Yisrael. In other words, by giving das, he internalizes the amunah to such an extent that what is revealed, which amunah? The amunah of the essence of the neshama, not mazlai chazi, but the essence of the neshama, and that causes it should weigh in a mesidus nefesh. But he said, "V'apian al yeshleimer." He says, based on this, we could say, "She'ikar inyan raya mehemna." What's the primary focus and role of a raya mehemna? Shozanu mefanis samuna atzma. That he's what is raya mehemna? What does it mean? The shepherd of Amunah. What is the role as a raya mehemna? Shamuna tia learn akameshi mitzad geluyim. Not because of the revealed love mitzad that the neshama sees alukuz, el mitzad etzem, and neshama, because Moshe Rabbeinu do, he reveals the essence of the yid, the pintal yid. V'zeh shemeshe mamshechus amunah bepnimius, and this that Moshe Rabbeinu internalizes the amunah. V'das v'asogam is teitzoah mizeh, an offshoot from the fact shuzan umefanis amunah atzma. Hamshachas gilu yamunah k'meishi mitzad etzem and neshama. Meaning, this that Moshe Rabbeinu internalizes the amunah, it's an offshoot that he's feeding the amunah which is the Amshocha Amuna B'Pnimis, or the Hiskashus Atzmius Etzem and Neshama. In other words, like this: what does Moshe Rabbeinu do? He binds the essence of the Jew to Hashem, and that binding, that which is, by the way, the level of das, the feeling Elokus. Like the expression, Ilu Yadaitiv Vayisif, if I would feel it, I would be it. To this, that Moshe Rabbeinu binds the essence of the neshama to Hashem. That is the way the Amunah and the das is internalized. But which level of Amunah? Not the level of Amunah that comes from Azai or Chazi, but the essence of the neshama itself feels the Amunah.
Moshe gives dots in order for you to reveal that you're one with the essence
Yeah.
of the soul. And
Yeah.
that allows the Amunah.
That's the Amunah internalization, and that is the Mesiras Nefesh.
You're allowed to be serious now.
So the Rebbe is going to explain now an interesting thing. So based on this, a Rebbe that has to feed Mesiras Nefesh is more Raya Mehemne in that aspect than the Moshe Rabbeinu was. Because he says the ultimate level through Mesiras Nefesh. He says, "Val Pizeh Yeshleimar." Based on this, we can say, This that the generations that needed, like in Mordechai's time, when the Friedrich Rebbe's time, that they needed Mesiras Nefesh b'Poil. Chizku Rei Yisrael, the Rei Yisrael, and this Pashtusa, the Mesha of every generation, it strengthens the Amunah, the Yisrael, the Amunah of Yid, that it should be in a way of Mesiras Nefesh. So therefore, what's Nizgalo Inyan D'Rai Ma'amne B'Inyan Zem? Because in other things, Moshe Rabbeinu is still Moshe Rabbeinu. But in this aspect of Raya Mehemne, that he feeds, internalizes the Amunah, that in Mesiras Nefesh makes it, there's no other way. This is more than Moshe Rabbeinu himself. So even though it's only his Pashtusa, the Moshe B'chol Dora, which is a manifestation of Moshe Rabbeinu, in this respect, a Dor that needs Mesiras Nefesh B'Bayil, and the Raya Mehemne of that generation feeds and reveals the Amunah of the Yid, in that level, he's even greater than Moshe Rabbeinu in that level of Raya Mehemne. Because this Amshoch and Amunah, Kameshi Mitzat Etzem and Neshama, that comes from the essence. Because this Amunah, okay, where do you see in the Jew the Amunah that comes from the essence? He says, where do you see the revelation of the Amunah that comes from the essence? He said that's primarily by Mesiras Nefesh B'Poil, not potential Mesiras Nefesh, not the hypothetical Mesiras Nefesh. Where do you see the Amunah of Gilui Etzem and Neshama is revealed in the ultimate level? That's through the level of actual Mesiras Nefesh. So Mordechai, because his generation demanded Mesiras Nefesh, that Moshe Rabbeinu's generation didn't, and he revealed the level of Mesiras Nefesh in the Yid by revealing the essence of the Neshama. So in that aspect, obviously it's not Moshe Rabbeinu, but in that aspect, Binyan Zeh, it's more Raya Mehemne level than Moshe Rabbeinu. The Moshe Rabbeinu didn't do it, and he did it.
So he's better at giving.
Not better.
Mordechai's better.
That's it.
It's not compared.
One second. We said, I know, we're not in this class. Why, if there's a level of Moshe Rabbeinu, yeah, why wasn't Hashem make one Moshe Rabbeinu for all generations? It should be alive, all generations. Why is Moshe Rabbeinu coming in different bodies? Right? Hashem could have made Moshe Rabbeinu stay alive the whole time. Because every generation has its avodah that the previous generation didn't have. Right? So you can't have the same Moshe Rabbeinu. Now this generation needs this, so this Moshe Rabbeinu's neshama, this Pashtus Moshe is coming into this generation because now it's all Moshe Rabbeinu. Right? Strengthening Amunah Das. But what needs to be accomplished? Like, very simple. In the Friedrich Rebbe's time was Mesiras Nefesh. Yeah? In the Rebbe's time was complacency of Golus. He wasn't fighting so much the level of Mesiras Nefesh like the Friedrich Rebbe did in Russia. Right? So therefore it has to be a different avodah. Because that's what he says. Mordechai in his generation had his Avodah of being Raya Mehemna. Moshe Rabbeinu in his time had his, and that's the Avodah of the Yidden. Okay.